G'day Tiger fans, welcome to Raw Vision, the big round 9 clash this Saturday night, the Dreamtime game. It's becoming a real traditional fixture on the calendar now, Danny.
It is, mate. My second one for the club, so looking forward to it, yeah.
I should have said we're joined by Danny Daly, sorry about that, Danny.
Right.
Offensive coach. Do you want to tell us what that actually means?
Yeah, look, at the start of the pre-season, Dimmer had this idea about rather than forwards, mids and backs, that we'd have an offensive, defensive and stoppage coach.
Yeah.
Probably along the same lines as the NFL, which he's pretty big on.
Yeah.
Lasted about 8 weeks, and we're going back to mids, forwards and defenders after about 8 weeks of pre-season. So basically what it was that I was just in charge of our ball movement patterns. Yeah. So whenever there's a turnover on the ground, whether it be in defensive 50 or our forward half of the ground, that I'm responsible for how we move the footy, and also our kick-in. So now that we've got rid of that, I just look after the forward line, but I've still got the kick-in, so they're not going too bad at the minute.
They're going very well. Now, what was the wash-ups from the Bulldogs game in match committee? How did you see it, and tell us what happened?
Yeah, look, I think Dimmer said in his press conference after the game that they probably took us a little bit by surprise. That actually, in the first 7 or 8 games, had been probably a bit reactive to how they were playing in terms of their style. They went from being pretty quick and fast to slowing the game down a bit, being a bit conservative. And I think that everyone saw in the first quarter they sort of whacked us right between the eyes and came out full guns blaring, which caught us off guard a little bit. So unfortunately the start of 7 or 8 goals, whatever they kicked to our 1 or 2, just was too much for us to peg back. In the past we've been able to peg back starts, but they were up and going, and we know that they're a pretty good side, the Doggies, so we probably learned a fair bit from that game.
You just talked about the start. Another big game this week, a team in red-hot form. What have you done to address these first quarter sort of bad starts we're having? It's starting to really affect us.
Yeah, it is. We've spoken about it the last 3 match committees, so it's, we'll come up with something different this week. We've been through the warm-up, we've been through our meetings, we've been through a lot of different things, but look, the reality is we'll probably put most of our guns straight in the centre bounce this week, and put on our leadership group a little bit to make sure that they get everyone up and about and playing the sort of footy that we've been able to play in second and third and last quarters, but we just really need to do that from the start. There's only so much you can do from the coach's box, and you know, we're pulling our hair out what's left of it. But yeah, I'm just hoping that our leadership group take a bit more control there, and we've got Tucky back this week, so might chuck him straight in the first bounce and he might win the first contested possession, and away we go. So
beautiful. Yeah. Now, positive is we're scoring plenty of goals, but on the flip side, we're probably giving too many away as well. Yep. You've spoken about that as well? Yeah,
it's been a big focus for us this week. You're spot on, Richo. It's great to score 120 points a game, but we definitely don't want the opposition to score, 130, 140. One of the aims for our side moving forward is to limit sides to under 100 points. The better sides like the Collingwoods and the St Kildas of the past have been able to do that. And I think that just comes from our ability all over the ground to defend correctly. I mean, we complain the defenders because, they're not getting spells and etc. But if our forwards can work hard up the ground and put enough defensive pressure on, and then our mids can get back to support the back line, and then our back line can do their job by spoiling and winning contested footy in the back half, well, hopefully that will achieve that. But at the minute, it's just finding the balance between offence and defence, which is the biggest challenge for us. But, hopefully we've got a couple of things we're looking at this week in terms of our press, etc., which might hopefully bring the scoring rate down.
Now, you mentioned Tucky back in. That's a real positive for us. 2 other changes. Yep. Angus Graham goes out and Big Brownie comes in, and Mitch Farmer also comes in for Benny Nason. What roles do you have planned for him? Obviously, Brown in the ruck.
Yeah, Brownie's probably been in terrific form over the last 5 weeks in the VFL, so Gus just needs to go down and probably find a little bit of form. He hasn't really been marking the ball around the ground as much as we would have liked. So hopefully he can go back and just find some form in the air, and it gives Brownie an opportunity. As I said, he's been pretty good at the VFL level, so he's earned his spot. He reward good behaviour, so that's why Brownie's in. Tucky, well, he was just annoying the hell out of Dimmer in his room for the last 2.5 weeks, so he's playing regardless. And old Mitch Farmer, he's had 4 or 5 weeks now back from injury, and one thing about Mitch, he can play forward or he can play back. He's a bit versatile, so we can use him at both ends of the ground, and as a forward he puts on some terrific pressure, but down back he also uses the footy quite well for us, which might enable us to, put Newman or Delidio into the midfield. And Benny Nason he's been subbed for 3 out of the last 5 weeks, so he just needs to go back and play some footy. And obviously Edwards is out for a couple. Yeah.
Now, 80,000 people, or up to 80,000 people there this Saturday night, must be good for a young team to, get the chance to play in front of these huge crowds.
Oh, absolutely. I was just actually talking to Brad Helbig downstairs, and he's saying that apart from round one against Carlton, where there was 60-odd, the biggest crowd he played in front of was like 2,500. So just for our kids, we've got 11 or 12 kids who have played under 50, 60 games. So just an enormous opportunity for them to be part of such a big game. But also I think Essendon are in super form at the minute, and we've showed some pretty good form. So if we can derive a win from the game, it'll just give the boys a terrific opportunity to get a win in front of such a big crowd.
You talked about the Bombers. They are in red-hot form, but they're missing their captain, Jobe Watson, one of the best leaders and midfielders in the comp, and Heath Hocking, who's been terrific this year.
Yeah.
Gives us a little bit of a chance in the middle.
Well, it does, and I suppose it enables Cochin and Martin and Foley and Tucky just to go out and do their craft and win the hard ball for us. With those two guys out, it really hopefully opens it up for us a little bit. But in saying that, our mids have just got to make it happen. If we can win contested footy against them and get some outside footy and get the ball inside 50 and score against Essendon, they're a pretty good show. So that's probably our biggest focus area this week, our contested footy around the ground.
Yeah.
And also just limiting Essendon's run from their back half. So if we can achieve those two things, it will certainly help us.
Now, we've been a little bit down on the clearance rate this year, and you just spoke about that area, but that's obviously crucial this week. Is it as much about a ruckman who can get his hands on the ball, or what is it?
Yeah, it's about our ability to, that's probably why we brought Brown in. As I said, he's been terrific at VFL level, and he's done a lot of work with Brennan Lade in the area of stoppage work and ruck work, and we know that Essendon, Bell-Chambers, Hill and Ryder, they've got three pretty dominant ruckmen there, and they've been a big strength of theirs. So, with Brownie and Ty, and also the option of even Brad Miller being able to go in the ruck and hopefully get our first hands on the ball and give Cochin and Martin and Foley first uses of it without Watson and Hockin there that you spoke about. It's a big focus for us, absolutely.
Now, they've been good all year. We've talked about that. Their clearances are good. What else does the opposition coach, Wayne Campbell, what's he given you? What's Walker's special this week?
He had a massive meeting today, old Walker. Went on for ages and ages. Number one in this and number one in that and number two in this, Essendon. So I think our boys were a bit scared by the end of the meeting about how good Essendon were. But, I think he spoke more about their ability to press in. Like they're a really good side that presses right in against the opposition. So he was more at our players about our ability to use the ball out of our back half and try and get through their press. But also just the stoppage work and the clearance stuff that we've already touched on. That's probably been the two or three focus areas that Cambo's put on the boys this week. So we'll see how good he is, eh?
Now, we like to pump up a player on Raw Vision most week. It's been Jack Revolt far too often, and there is a question on here about Jack, so we're going to leave that out.
I'm sick of Jack.
We are. We're getting sick of asking the same questions. He's in good form, kick 4 on Dale Morris, but Robbie Nahas, he's probably the one that's really come up a long way compared to other players. He had over 25 possessions for the 4th week in a row.
Yep.
That's fantastic for us.
Oh, look, Robbie's been terrific, and he copped a fair whack over the pre-season or his review with Damien and the coaches about his form last year and his work rate, etc. So to his credit, he's gone away and worked really hard over the summer, and he's got as fit as he could get, and he's just playing some excellent football, and consistency's obviously been one of the things that we've been working on with him, and for him to get 25 plus possessions the last 4 weeks has been a huge bonus for us. And also what it does is enable him as a forward. If someone plays him tightly, you can get up the ground and open the forward line up for us. So he's been a massive bonus for us this year. He
certainly has, and Jack's been great as well. We'll ask about Jack again next week. Don't worry about that. Danny, thanks for joining us.
No worries, Richard. Thanks,
and
mate.
Good luck. And all Tiger fans, we'll see you there on Saturday night for Dreamtime at the G.